So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Fulcrum Group's annual Texas Local Government webinar. This one's entitled WHATA-AI, Artificial Intelligence for City Hall. We're glad you chose to spend time with us today. This session is focused on practical ways city leaders are using M365 Copilot to reduce administrative workload, improve clarity, and give staff time back without adding complexity. My name is Jeremy Adams, and I'll serve as your host today. As we go through this session, please feel free to drop your questions into the chat at any time. We're going to be monitoring them and relaying those to our speaker as we go. So on a quick note, any kind of when you hear the topic of, say, AI or compliance or City Hall use, reference that in your comments so I can direct that for Steve to have an answer. Our speaker today is Steve Meek. Steve is an owner of the Fulcrum Group, and he's one of our cybersecurity and AI specialists. He works with city leaders across Texas on cybersecurity governance and responsible AI adoption. Steve focuses on real-world use cases, not theory, and how Copilot can support city operations while respecting compliance, transparency, and public trust. Steve, thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise today. Without further ado, I turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that introduction. Although you did forget to mention I'm from a small town outside of San Angelo, so I know that usually moves the marker for most people when they hear that I'm from West Texas.
Agreed. Anyways, I'm from a town of 600 north of Abilene.
Anyways, hey, I'm Steve Meek. I'll be chatting with you guys a little bit today. Now, I know I saw some names and faces that I didn't recognize from past meetings, but from our past conversations, I have. I guess we've been working on AI for a couple of years now, and so we've probably done about 15. I've done about 15 presentations. So early on, if you look at the left side, a lot of it initially started off with just explaining what AI is and how it works. Over the past year, we've been a little bit more focused on the Microsoft stack. So we've talked a lot about being an edge solutions. We've talked about in the middle there, the M365 stuff. And today, I want to take it to that next level of Copilot Studio, which is their agentic AI part of things. And I apologize for the reference to WHATA-AI, but I was trying to think of something that would help people understand a little bit more about how agentic AI works. And growing up in West Texas, one of my favorite loves was the Whataburger. I spent a lot of hours in my misspent youth at a Whataburger, but I just always appreciated how they would customize it to however I wanted it that particular day. And so I thought that might be a good reference point for everyone today.
Steve, if you would, you might turn down your mic just a little bit.
Okay, thanks for that. Let's see here. Let me go back to. How about that? Is that any better?
That is better. Yes, thank you.
All right. So as far as things today, I know things can be a little bit confusing. I know sometimes the organization are strong to share kind of some things that help individual departments or cities take advantage of the agentic side of things. I'll just briefly touch on kind of the whole journey from getting started to tips. And I think we have a QR code for a survey where we'll actually send you some use cases for cities that are specifically related to Copilot Studio. But a lot of it's just trying to share with you guys how to go through the journey, how to move your organization forward as a leader or the expert or just the guy that everyone turns to and goes, hey, help, you need to figure this out because no one else will if you don't. I talked a little bit about some of the different topics that we've gone through. Early on, there was a lot more hallucinations in the technology. Hence my first presentation was how AI is like your drinking buddy. Sometimes very perceptive, sometimes spot on, and then other times you're just like, what the heck are you thinking? But over time, just increased so much. There's a saying that the AI you use today is going to be the worst AI you ever use because AI learns from you. AI learns with you. It gets better as you use it more and more. So it's okay if you had used AI before, but I mean, the first time to have started using AI was 2 years ago when it really became available to us. The next best time is to start right now. Start today. Start as soon as possible. That's how you're going to get the value out of it. Oops, I went backwards. So real quickly on the adoption journey, you don't really need to take away a lot from this slide other than the best place to start is at the bottom of the pyramid, finding individual value for yourself, finding those generic skills for you, the very basic kind of functionality out of AI. If you're using something like ChatGPT, you could be asking very basic questions out of their large language model. If you're using Copilot, Copilot Chat has that same ability. You can use the free version that comes with your Office 365 license. That free version does add in guardrails that ChatGPT and other tools don't necessarily add in the beginning. If you actually license Copilot's Copilot for 365, that adds additional functionality in your chat, a web function, which will go out and look at the large language model of the internet. If you click on the work function, it'll focus primarily on your tenant, just the stuff within your tenant. So it's going to look first at your emails, your Teams chats, and what's in SharePoint. So I like to think of it a little bit of the internet's great because there's a whole bunch of information. You can go grab it, but it's actually better to use a small language model over a large language model because if you go to the internet, it's going to use not just the good stuff on the internet, but the bad stuff on the internet, stuff that's not accurate, things that's old, things that's not exactly what you're trying to target for your information. So in a lot of ways, having access to everything isn't always the best because you also have access to all the bad stuff out there. Once you start to gather some of that basic stuff at the individual level, then that's where you start looking at the departmental or organizational level. And that's really going to be a big part of what our focus is today, is taking advantage of that departmental level information that you have access to that's going to add a lot more value to your organization. I showed you the bottom of the pyramid. I know we went way deeper on this topic in probably the past 2 or 3 presentations. The early wins, very basic stuff, but for a city, if you can reply to an email quickly, that gives you faster citizens response. If you're able to summarize the details much quicker, then that can kind of help you with the fewer back and forth conversations with somebody. If you call them, they called you, you called them, they emailed you, you've got all those things in the past. It just kind of helps you get through some of those things a little bit quicker. Now, in the office, in the Microsoft world, we use a term called the frontier firm thinking. That's basically where we eventually do AI everywhere. But for cities, municipalities, towns, water districts, for organizations that don't necessarily have the bandwidth to attack everything, we kind of have to pick our spots. And we kind of have to figure out where it's going to be important for us to make a difference sooner in AI. So the ways I like to think about it is the organizational KPIs. Are we concerned about municipal billing? Are we having challenges in public works getting to all the efforts out there? Are we having a hard time prioritizing the work that's out there? Maybe by roles, maybe the finance team has challenges, or budgeting has challenges. Try to figure out where the biggest headaches are, where the biggest problems, where you spend the most manpower, where you have the most people, where you have a hard time hiring. All of those things can be clues to try and figure out where to start your AI journey by trying to figure out where it can make the most impact or have the financial benefits that you're looking for. And if you guys have any questions as we go along, post them into Teams. The guys in here are supposed to kind of alert me if there's any questions that you have in there. And I'm trying to get through this a little bit quicker to keep us on track. Now, if you are using Office 365, Copilot, the whole Copilot experience, one of the things that your IT team want to make sure that you're focusing on is getting your data ready for AI. It's important to get started on your journey, start working on those use cases, but it's also important to start working on getting your data ready for AI. So part of that is making sure you have your arms around all of your data. Is it all in SharePoint where you have access to it? Do you have legacy file shares that your Copilot won't have access to? Trying to get all your workloads in Office 365 environment helps supercharge your data. There's a saying that data is fuel for AI. And so the inverse of that is bad data is also bad for AI. Somebody used a phrase to me the other day. There used to be an old saying, garbage in, garbage out. And he basically made a play off of that, which was hallucinations in, hallucinations out. What he's really trying to say is that if you have like really old stuff on your network, AI can't tell the difference between old stuff and new stuff. It just sees stuff. So getting rid of that old data that's out there to make sure that whatever your AI model is accessing is the most current. We use the term rot for the stuff that's on in your data in your environment, and rot stands for the stuff that's redundant. Maybe you got stuff in multiple places. Uh, Maybe there's old stuff, that's the O in rot, and maybe there's trivial information, just stuff that's out there, but it's stuff that AI has to look at to try and come up with an answer. So getting rid of all that stuff that needs to be archived off, needs to be deleted, whatever needs to be getting rid of. That's especially true for financial information. AI can't tell the difference between financial information. So one of the things that you want to get into, if you're not already, is to get into a structural way of handling all of your any data that moves a lot. So typically I'd be looking at financial data that might be in spreadsheets, maybe payroll data, any of those kinds of things that you're trying to organize. AI can't tell the difference between files. So you want to have a structured naming strategy for all of those kinds of data so that when you do get to that point, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're already ready to be able to do financial analysis and for it to know that, hey, because I named this 2026 Q1 P&L, that's my P&L for that particular period. But having that structure, having those things ready helps you get ready for what's coming down the road. Now, where agents play a role in that is agents are going to be like that intern that you can train early on and make it better by giving it more information, more details, more instructions, more guidance. I like to think of them as digital workers. That kind of person that never calls in late, never sick, always ready to go, always listens to what you say, but they require you to give them that information. You have to train them just like you have to train an intern. So for those people that are interested in agentic AI, what we're talking about is an intelligent, artificial intelligence powered assistant. It uses that generative AI like ChatGPT, Copilot, Grok, Claude, all of those models that are out there, and uses the language model that you choose, whether it's large or small, to assist humans in whatever that complex cognitive task happens to be. The more complex the task, the greater value that AI is going to be able to offer you. Now, within that ecosystem, you're able to kind of not just create the application. It also gives you the ability to deploy it. You can deploy one of those models directly into your Microsoft 365 Copilot experience. You can create custom application maybe that inside your organization uses. You could push that to, like if you're a big Microsoft Teams environment, you can actually push that environment directly into Teams as well. Or you could build out a model and you could publish it out to, let's say, your website. So you could create an agent and publish it out to your website so that your constituents, your citizens could also have access to it and use it for, whatever that happens to be. Answering the citizen question, routing requests, or just assisting your internal team with fielding things. And it's completely autonomous. So it kind of works. You get it ready, you train it, you also test it. That's part of the process, but it allows you to publish that out to everybody. Now, before we get into the full Copilot experience of Studio, it also makes Copilot 365 also gives you something that they call their lite experience. So these are like templates that are these are some of the built-in templates into Office 365 that you could deploy today. You could deploy a writing coach that gives people feedback in, writing. So for your organization, if there's certain ways you want people to phrase things, if there's certain interactions you want when they're working on how they answer citizens or vendors or whoever and things, these are all things that you can go in and tweak and make a little bit more right for your organization. Things that I like to do within our own organization is we've tweaked some of ours with things like our core values, with some of our phraseology. We've got like a service glossary that we use inside our organization. Those are all things that you can use as people are writing to kind of help keep everyone very similar in their phrasing, their wording, those kinds of things. But these are there that are built into Office 365 that don't you can add additional intelligence to them, but you don't have to. If you just want a little bit of help writing, you can go into Copilot Studio, make these aware, add them as agents to your experience, and be able to have access to them. They're free. They're there. Microsoft is just trying to make life easier for you, for people who are users of AI. You can also build your own custom lite agents. Now, these aren't quite using full AI, but they have like AI type things. So you can go in and build them inside a Copilot chat, and all you have to do is select very basic things and add them in there. So, for example, uh, if you go in there and you can kind of see from my little bubble there, uh, you just describe what you want to put in there, and it's asking you a question. What can I take off your hands today? And I put in here, I'd like to create a new employee onboarding agent to help us orient new team members. Pretty straightforward, right? Once I click the go sign, it's going to ask me additional information. And so I gave it basically a name, I gave it a description, and I give it some additional instructions. So the first one I showed you was to describe if you just wanted to walk you through the wizard where it creates stuff. Here I chose to go the more complex route and say, hey, I want to actually give more details to what I want you to do. And to make this even better, that's I expanded a little bit so you can see a little bit better. But to make it even better, I'm going to give you some resources to help people understand it. So my checklist here is a new employee onboarding, but I'm going to give it information like I'm giving it like a website. So I'm sending it to our website where I know there's information. I'm uploading our holiday schedule. So if somebody wanted to ask, like, what are holidays? I uploaded this spreadsheet that we had with company history, uploaded a document with our payroll schedule. I can put up to help populate this information all kinds of different details. I can do things like PDFs, most Office types, your Word documents, your PowerPoint documents, all of those kinds of things can be ingested into this light knowledge agent. So that if somebody wants to learn a little bit, like I just hired somebody and they go into my new employee onboarding agent, they can prompt it for a question. It'll spit back that information. It's designed to be very basic, very easy to set up. You don't have to be a programmer. You just have to know how to ask a question, and you can create it in there. My guidance to you is that you only want to do about 10 to 20. I think 10 is kind of ideal. Up to 20s, what I would kind of consider a max, but it'll handle most file types. Now, things like Excel, I find that it doesn't do Excel very well. It doesn't do complex Excel documents. So sometimes I'll take Excel documents and PDF them and ingest that instead of Excel. But that's kind of that light agent that can kind of help you take advantage of the agent type experience. And you can kind of see, I can give it additional guidance in here. Here I'm giving it kind of some suggested prompts. So I can give it prompts that if you want to know this information, it'll actually have it there when they first go into the agent. So you can see there, I've got a day one welcome. I've got me, get me productive in 30 minutes. And I've got your first week game plan. So I've already got some stuff in here. And then I also did some testing. I did some testing, and it's given a preview here of somebody asking about payroll. And so here it's given kind of a sample response to that. Hey, here's the next payroll. Here's the date of it. Here's the period that it covers. I can tell you the next several dates if you want. So in addition to answering the question, it's prompting for that next question. And here's a little bit more, an expanded version of that, I believe. Yeah, so it's just showing a little bit better how that gets there.
We don't have a question, but we got a nice comment. It says we can convert the Excel to CSV as Python or agents work well with CSV compared to Excel files.
Yeah, there's over time you'll learn that there's certain types of files that that don't work as well, or certain prompts that don't work as well. And that's why I highly encourage everyone to get started in a safe chat environment, just so you start cultivating those skills. You learn so much just by trying. AI is understanding AI is a completely different technology and skill set than we've ever had to do. So you've got to screw up a lot to get better at it. You've got to experiment a lot to get better at it. If you just go in full bore and commit to something, it's possible to be successful, but it's more successful if not only you get started, but you get a pilot group to get started on it, just to start learning and understanding and comprehending. And we've created a variety of content, and I've done a variety of things, such as videos on the importance of why a good AI initiative needs an executive sponsor, why it's important to not just create an AI council or a pilot group, but to guide that group through a structured approach of AI adoption. All kinds of things like that help you on your journey. And I've presented on those and some of our past experiences. So what I tried to do today was I tried to think about what a city might want, or kind of a use case for it. And so what I did is I came up with the idea of building out kind of a 311 agent. You can handle it any kind of way. You could handle it as, hey, we keep hiring people to take calls and those kinds of things, but it takes a long time to track that stuff down. So you could build an internal 311 agent for your organization to kind of help one person know a lot more about the entire organization by crafting an AI agent to help them field those questions. Somebody calls in, they answer the phone, they type into the agent you built for them, and they could answer all those questions. It would take a little bit more preparation, but you could also build a public facing 311 agent. Obviously, you'd want to test it a lot, get it ready, publish it to your website before you publish it to your website. Or maybe you first start using internal to test it, and then once you feel it's at a great spot, then you need to publish it out to your website. You can handle it any kind of way, and that's the Whataburger nature of AI, is you can get it to do it whatever way you want. You just want a single meat with cheese, Hey, let's just use it internally. You want the double where it gives you everything you want and the jalapenos and the cheese you want. Let's publish it out to the website because we're ready now. Sorry, I know a little bit too much about Whataburger, don't I? Sorry, growing up in a small town, that was the institution.
You're
My
making me
point being
hungry.
that, I'm sorry,
I said, you're making me hungry.
sorry. My point being that you give it the right instructions, you prepare it with the right knowledge, then all of a sudden it becomes this low code. It doesn't require a programmer. Fulcrum Group, we can help you prepare it, develop it, cultivate it sooner. But if you want to build it on your own, you can do that over time. And so what I want to do is I kind of want to show you just, I did some screen captures. I actually built something out over a few days, but I just kind of want to help you understand not the theory, but help you understand the practice. What I'm trying to show you is it's not kind of that full smart city platform. It's it's one simple way to answer the same questions your team gets every single day. So what I'm trying to do is, again, using my Whataburger analogy. Oops, sorry, went ahead. I'm trying to think of it a little bit like ordering at a drive-through. We're not building a whole kitchen. We're just making sure that the order, the goal you have, gets taken care of correctly, that is prepared consistently, and handed back the right way every single day. And so I kind of chose pothole reporting. I'm sure no one's ever had to deal with that, but looking at the kitchen side rules of things, what you're looking at here is kind of my 311 style Copilot built inside Copilot Studio, and I've given it just some basic directions. I've given it just some basic instructions. Hey, you're my helpful city service assistant for residents. I'm not going to read the rest of you to it, but it's just basic instructions. You know, uh, I'm not trying to be a genius. It's not just a robot, just creating consistent, calm, and useful information. Does that resonate with you guys? Does that make sense? How you can take these basic instructions and create a tool that can help you out? One of the things that Copilot has also done to help out with that. So Copilot is actually based on the same technology that ChatGPT is based on. They both licensed the LLM OpenAI. ChatGPT implements it their way. Copilot, Microsoft implemented their way. But one of the things that Microsoft recently did is, in addition to supporting OpenAI, they've added access to Claude now within Copilot Studio. So you now have the ability to not just, every AI has a slightly different advantage in one area than each of the other. Everybody who's using AI today, once you get kind of familiar with an AI, you kind of fall in love with it. It's hard to change, but everyone is, everybody's AI is a little bit like their religion or their political affiliation preferences. It's like once you find one you kind of like that matches your personality, you want to stick with it. Microsoft has added Claude for that reason, so that if you prefer Claude for certain things, you can also change your Copilot Studio to utilize that AI model for your answers. Here in my document, you see that I'm started adding information into it. One of the things that was hard for me to learn about AI was that less is more. If I really want a great targeted answer, exactly what I wanted, I don't want it going out to the public internet. I don't want a chat GPT answer. I don't want a Copilot web chat answer. I don't want a Claude answer unless it's grounded in my information. Grounded meaning it's based on the specific information that I consider to be golden, to be accurate, to be correct, to be the type of information I want. So for your Copilot Studio, you want to make sure that if you've got documents, if you've got static information, that you ingest that static information. And you can kind of see here that I've targeted PDFs for that static information. I've got a standard way, and what I did is I didn't I didn't want to create all this information, so I just went out to the City of Fort Worth's website and downloaded some of their PDFs, and I took some of their web pages and converted them to PDFs. Uh, but I took that information and ingested that into my Quickie Copilot that I've created for my purposes. Also, Copilot has ability to choose web links. Unfortunately, City of Fort Worth has theirs down a lot of levels, but if I've got a web link that's less than 2 levels down, I can actually go reference that web link. So also access one web link from the City of Fort Worth as part of this Quickie demo that I created, so I could create some screen captures. But here's just kind of an idea of the type of information that I can gather and add in there. And with that, I'm able to take those city documents, those FAQs, those service pages, and I've taught it how to behave like a helpful front desk for these types of questions. And again, AI works best on clean notes, not junk drawers, not old documents, not you know 5-year-old documents. Even this stormwater flood mailer that's 2024, there's potentially bad information in there because it's 2 years old. And so after I've created my sample pilot, I want to test it. So you can see I created like a real quick prompt here. Hey, I'm Steve's fake Fort Worth Copilot demo. How can I help? And I said, hey, there's a pothole near my house. And it came back with kind of a stock answer. Sorry to hear that. Here's how you get it fixed. To me, I'm a customer service guy. If you're an IT guy, you probably grew up in kind of a service mentality. How do I make it better? How do I not just take care of a technical issue, but how do I make the person feel like I hear you, I'm listening, I understand what's going on. Let me make this like a personal answer. How do I make it personal? How do I add value to that particular conversation? So I want to go back and enhance the experience. But normally, if I'm testing, then out of my testing process, I can see things like the explanation. I want to look for trends over time over how those answers go. I want to make sure that explanations are clear. And you can kind of see down here that those little blocks of things, that's what the data is actually referencing when I test it. It's testing this PDF, it's testing this PDF, whatever is part of my information that it's testing down there. That's how I make sure that it's accurate, so that if I notice an error, then I know where that error came from. Oh, I need to go update that document. And I obviously want to do more testing than just this one pothole. Now, I can also have the ability to publish it to different locations. I talked to you about I can publish it right into the 365 Copilot tool within Microsoft 365, and I find that's best for my senior people because they assume that's once you start thinking about AI, it's hard not to think of Microsoft Copilot as your AI tool. So a lot of times I'll just publish it in there for those executives, those people who are they're not in applications all day long. They just want to go in and get like a quick dashboard of, hey, I want to ask a question. I use the experience of potholes. It could be board notes, or city council notes. It could be anything your organization uses, financial information, whatever you choose to build your Copilot around. But I find that for managers and executives, typically for that, you're living in Microsoft 365 Copilot. For those knowledge workers, those people are always busy, always working on things, your ops managers, your department leads, a lot of times those people are in Teams all the time. So I might want to push that application to Teams instead of Copilot, because I want to put the tool where all the work is happening. If I'm in Teams all the time because I'm in meetings, I'm in projects, I'm dealing with data, then for a manager, those types of people, I typically would store those things within Microsoft Teams. And then kind of for the flip side, I can make it a web app so that my external users, so that if I want to do a demo, if I want to build a portal for my team that I embed somewhere else, just different strokes for different folks. Again, not only do I have customization over what my technology is, what my application is, and what my knowledge is, I also have granularity into where I want it to appear for my audience. I want to make it the way they want to consume it. They want to come into the drive-through, great, I'll put it out there. They want to come to the store, great, I'll put it there. They want to order online, drive up and pick it up, hey, you can do it that way as well. And then as we come into the home stretch of these things, here's just kind of some quick rule sets. What I'm showing you here is how I've gone in and built a workflow to go along with it. If you look upon the top part of the Copilot demo that I've created, my overview is where I create the tool. The knowledge is where I add in the knowledge base. I can create additional tools and agents. But what I've done here is I've just created a sample topic, and I'm drilling into that report pothole experience. So in my report pothole trigger, I've told it, hey, describe what this topic does. Here's what this topic is about. And then AI is actually able to match that up with certain keywords so that when it hears pothole or related information, it gives me additional triggers. So anytime someone puts in a prompt related to potholes, I want to respond with, hey, I can help with that. Let me get a little bit more information, blah, blah, blah. I can tell it to ask another question. I can tell it to send a message, but I've got all these conditions that I can do to make it more intelligent, more customer facing, better for the citizen, better for the executive, better for my finance team, better for my public waste employees to understand what the next issue is that they're going to be working on. Whoever it is that I'm that I'm working with, I can make it a little bit better for their experience. So I'm turning it into a structured conversation where it's not just the very basics, but actually represents that, hey, I understand this request. Let me gather the right information. Let me guide you to the next step. And so you can kind of see what I've done here. I actually built it out a little bit more. So my question is, hey, I need help with a pothole. I built it out a little bit more so that it answers, hey, I can help with that. Let me get a little bit more detail so I can guide you correctly. So now I've told it, hey, can you share the location of the nearest street? That's a prompt that I programmed it with. And so I just put in Berry Street. It's going to prompt me again, hey, is this happening right now or has it been ongoing? And then it's going to prompt me again. The guy is going to respond with, hey, I just noticed it. So it understands that and goes, oh, thanks. That gives me enough to guide you to the right service. The fastest way to report this is through the city system so that it gets tracked, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And then it replies with that information that I provided before. Does that help? Does that help you guys understand how you can kind of program this, make it even better, make it more granular, and then obviously you can make it for whatever use case you want. Utility billing, anything that's part of your common questions. Now, I wanted to try to leave just a little bit of time in case there were some questions that anybody had, but I did want to close through just kind of some role-based things that I see out there. Process automation. Maybe you just kind of want advisory information in kind of a specific area. Maybe legal. Maybe you don't have you're too small to have in-house counsel, but you want kind of some guidance from the legal precedents that you set, so forth. Maybe you've got city rules or other things that you follow that you want your people to follow as well. But you can build out whatever you want. Maybe Public Works has their own kinds of things. Maybe you want RFP guidance for people who are going to bid on projects. Sorry. My closing slide is just kind of some of the key takeaways I wanted you to have out of this. If it looked kind of simple, it actually is to get started. It's a lot more effort and skill to be great at it, but to get started, it doesn't have to be scary. The whole AI adoption journey, there's a structured process for doing that. Fortunately, enterprises failed miserably for a year trying to figure it out. Microsoft took all those bad experiences and created kind of some guidance to help you get started. They've educated us with a lot of those things to help us help you as well. But a lot of it just goes back to structure. People who are IT managers today, who are very structured individuals, probably could figure it out on their own and help you internally down that journey. You just need to seek out your AI experts internally to help you through. But if you're a highly structured ops manager or city manager, it's possible that you could lead your team down that journey. It just requires the right mindset, that person who can kind of help you down that journey. I'm talking to you a lot today about Copilot because Copilot adds that guardrail, that inside the fence. If you just have a free license of most AI models, anything you put in there, like your financials, automatically goes out there and helps that model get better. Well, you don't want your financials out in the model. So if you license it, if you pay for a license, you still have to go into a lot of those models and program privacy settings and those kind of things to secure your things. But your users don't know that. So we want to steer people to using Copilot Chat because it puts those guardrails in place. If you're using your licensed Copilot if you're using your license for Copilot for your 365 license, it will put guardrails around it and keep all your data inside your 365 tenant where it stays secure. But anyways, I gave you some use cases here. We've got like a little survey for you if you had some additional questions. And if you do fill out that survey, I did that little example there of quick things. I did put together kind of a more granular version of that we'll just mail out to you if you fill out our survey for us. But before we do that, I just want to ask if there are any questions that people had that we wanted to dive into. Jeremy?
I haven't seen anything that popped into chat. I was going to ask you about the Texas Responsible Artificial Intelligence Governance Act that was signed last year and effective January this year, but it looks like it's all more about potential self-harm or harming of others or other encouraging, inciting.
Again, that's where Copilot is better within. I call it Traga. I don't know if that's actually
Yeah, it looks like Traga, exactly.
Yeah, but anyways, there is some guidance in there that I've written some Copilot policies, which I'd or AI policies, which I'd highly recommend for your organization that you create an AI policy for your organization, limiting what AI tools you use, because the last thing you want is, people are trying to do their best for the city, county, whatever your municipality is. So if you don't have a specific policy, people are just going to do what they think is best to help out, but they could accidentally be leaking information out there. So you want to have some sort of policy letting people know what's acceptable. You probably want to control that license and that policy so that you can make sure that your AI department or managed services provider locks it down. But as part of Traga, you do have responsibility to protect citizen information, the city information, anything that could be considered intellectual property. You want to make sure that you're protecting that out there. The state of Texas also has some privacy guidance that I think it was like 2-3 years ago. Actually, the privacy law came out of my district here. Caprioletti, I think, helped author it, but there's also privacy guidance out there that cities have to be mindful of in their AI policy. There used to be a federal policy, but our sitting president repealed that or pulled away the executive order that had that in place. But I think it's just good diligence to make sure that you're researching your state and local laws around privacy and AI governance as you deploy AI out to your organization.
It's great advice. Penalties ranging from 10,000 to 200,000 per violation, and also maybe 2,000 to 40,000 per day for continued violation.
That's every every state is trying to enact stuff. The Fed and state are kind of battling back and forth over it. I think our sitting president tried to invalidate anything happening at the state level. I think it's being still reviewed, and the legal side of things are always changing. But I've always been kind of a states' rights kind of guys, and putting that in your local communities.
Before you head out, if there's any final questions, feel free to drop them in the chat now. We're happy to relay anything that comes in. Also shared up in the chat is both a link for a survey and the QR code. It only takes 2 minutes, and your responses are going to help shape our future webinars for Texas City admin teams. So we'd appreciate the feedback. Thank you,
Yeah. Feel free
Steve.
to ask questions in chat. We'll make sure that we can answer as many as possible after the fact, and we always try to make sure that we're adding value at every interaction. So apologize for the earlier incident today of not being able to get it going on LinkedIn Live, but I appreciate everyone and your attendance.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Thank you.